Hi guys, how you doing? This is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com and elearntarot.com. And today we are going to continue on our Decan Walk. We are going to look at the card Six of Pentacles, and we're going to study the astrological association Moon in Taurus through the lens of the tarot cards, connected with that, of course. And then we're going to go back to the Six of Pentacles and see how this energy shows up in the card meaning. Okay, so the decan that we're looking at starts around about the 1st of May and lasts for about 10 days till the 10th of May. This is the time frame associated or linked with Six of Pentacles, Moon in Taurus. So let's take a quick look at the decan and understand the energies that are at play here, right? This is the second decan of Taurus, and it spans from the 11th degree to the 20th degree of the zodiac sign of Taurus, and roughly, as we've seen, from the 1st to the 10th of May. This is the card from the Picatrix Decan's deck, and this is from the Telos Tarot deck. As we know, there's a Latin book called the Picatrix, or rather the original Arabic book called Ghayat al-Hakim, I believe. Yeah. Well, anyway, the book has a whole bunch of things, but with each decan there is some sort of a description, right? So the description associated with this decan is a man whose body and face looks like that of a camel. His nails are similar to the hoof of a cow, wearing an old garment, interested in developing land and buildings and using cows for planting and cultivation. It is a time of procreation. Um, we do see the camel faced man, the hoofs of the cow, and well, the old garments. Then we have this procreation happening. There's these saplings growing. This is pretty interesting because if you remember, the previous decan was all about worrying about, here's the land and here we need to go plant our seeds, and then we are worried, are we doing a good job, is this going to work out well, so on and so forth. So we kind of continue down that trend here. We are looking at, with this, the camel thing is pretty cool because I believe there's connections with the high priestess card, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. The key, if you see over here, there's a little key. If you even look at this guy in the Telos Tarot deck, you see he has these the hoofs of the cow thing going on here. We have him holding a key. The key could be the link to the Hierophant. Because while the Picatrix book, it does talk about, this astrological connection, Moon and Taurus. So those elements are going to be there. But we look at these saplings, we do see that, okay, once the planting has started, the saplings are starting to grow. So we are looking at that time, there is development. That same theme sort of essentially continues here, but it becomes a little bit better now that things are in motion. If we look at this card, the Six of Discs from the Telos Tarot, we do see the elements of the decan. We also see this pole with ribbons. If you can see, that is a maypole, actually. And this is usually a lot of communities, you will see there is some sort of a festival or some sort of a celebration where the arrival of spring is sort of celebrated. The maypole is there in many communities. There's literally a pole, and you have young girls and the ribbons are tied to that pole, and then they go dancing around it, and at the end, the ribbons kind of get wrapped around this pole. This is also sometimes connected with the sort of the symbol of the world axis, or the axis mundi, which is kind of like a connection between the heaven and the earth, right? And you see the celebration going on here. So this is that time of the year where things are starting to finally happen. It's starting to manifest. So this is also associated with honor, with ability, nobility, rewards, powers, and destruction, oppression of the constituency, because powerful people do tend to do that often. So we have those vibes here. We do see all those connections here. So this is the energy of the Decan, where things are starting to show signs of success, or developing and growing, and well, cultivating procreation. Yes. Okay, so let's take a look at the planets. And in our card, we have the connection Moon in Taurus. And Moon, my goodness, look at this card. Just take a second and just like this artwork is so beautiful. Kind of just love it. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the moon. In our astrological chart, the moon talks about our personality and our emotions. It talks about our emotional makeup. It talks about how we feel our satisfaction. It is also, therefore, connected with the mother energy. It is about our relationship with our mother. It is about our, how we would be as mothers, if you're a woman. It's how you're sort of, how you look at the concept or the ideas related to motherhood and family, traditions, our childhoods, right? The giving and receiving of nurturing, the very basic needs. You see, in the skies, just like the sun has this whole father vibe, and sunlight nourishes and basically supports life here on Earth. The moon, being a satellite, is actually closer to the Earth compared to the sun. And we all know how the tides and the waters of the Earth are connected with the moon, right? Like with the waxing, waning, with the moon being closer, far further apart. How the moon causes tides, and how we are all basically 70% water, which is quite interesting. So the moon does affect us, and water is all about feelings and emotions. Moon is elementally connected with the sign of with the element of water, and so emotions and everything to do with emotions is kind of the realm of moon. And moon, therefore, is all about that very feminine energy. It is about receptivity. It is also about our very instinctive sort of responses. It is about our intuition, our creativity. It's about our inner motivations, our inner calling. It's what's within us, right deep within us. The patterns that drive you, the emotional undercurrents, the emotional security that we feel, right? And how we express our primary drive through our habits, our actions, the little nuances, and our expression, right? The experience and expression of feeling. This is like big chunk of what the moon is all about. And on the slightly darker side, we are looking at insecurities, anxieties, our inner fears, right? Like all these sort of touchy aspects of related to feelings are the domain of the moon. Now, moon also rules the sign of Cancer. Okay, so we're looking at this moon energy. Let's take a look at the tarot card that is associated with the astrological energy of the moon. And oh, yeah, before we kind of get into that, I want to take a little quick segue into the Kabbalah tree of life. And trust me, we're not going to dive deep here. That's a whole another video of many hours. This is an image I'm sure you must have seen. If you're into the tarot, you must have seen the image of the Tree of Life, Kabbalah, in a bunch of places. And to sort of give you a quick overview of what it's about, essentially, the Tree of Life is a diagrammatic representation of how the universe was formed, right? This owes its, the Kabbalah is a huge sort of part of the very ancient Hebrew traditions that sort of tarot and Western mysticism sort of draws on. And so we're looking at this, and if you see, each little circle has a number. Each circle is called a Sephiroth. That's like a point in this journey. And the journey begins, it's very numerical, 1 to 10, right? So there are essentially 10 stops along the way, if you will. So at the first point is where, the universe starts to sort of, show up, right? Before there's a void, and then something starts to happen, and we start seeing the first sort of emanations, really, of energy. This point is called Kether, or the crown. And then from there, different stages, the energy moves. Point number 6, if you see, is called Tiferet, and this is where you can say like the God consciousness or Christ consciousness has evolved. Point number 9 is Yesod, where they say that your unconscious, or the subconscious has evolved. And point number 10 is that spot where Malkut, we have, this world that has formed, the solid world. So and then but it's not a straight line. This energy moves, according to the numbers, and it kind of comes from there. So this is the long and short of it, in a very, very brief way. So now what they've done in our tarot world is these connecting pathways were connected with a tarot card. Okay. And so each pathway sort of, you can, that it's a different course in and of itself, probably, where we can see like, okay, from Kether, which is the crown, to point number 3, Bina, which is understanding, we have the magician sort of, creating the pathway there. Meanwhile, from Kether to Hokmah, it's pronounced Hokmah, which is wisdom. We have the fool coming here. So, we have all these, and then the Empress connects these two. So it's a very interesting, interplay where they have connected our tarot cards, the major arcana and the minor arcana also are there in different spaces, but mostly here right now the major arcana is there. And the card that we are going to focus on here is that of the High Priestess, because that is the card associated with the moon, right? And we see here that this High Priestess card is connecting this pathway from point number 1 all the way to point number 6. Okay. And so it's kind of the longest pathway, right? And if you notice, there is a little spot here called Darth, or knowledge. It is one of the hidden Sephiroth, they call it. And this is like the hidden knowledge, or the, the inner knowledge or secret knowledge. So our High Priestess card sort of traverses all of that and goes into point number 6, Tiferet, which is your God consciousness or Christ consciousness, as they call it. So right from the very first emanation, which is Kether, all the way down to God consciousness or Christ consciousness, the pathway that connects it is the High Priestess. So this card, they say, is a link from, these sort of the archetypal worlds, and this is the formative world. And so, because the High Priestess, often we'll see the symbol of camel on it, and we talk about it. So the camel actually is what they say is that the High Priestess is that's the energy you need to travel all this space here, and even this hidden knowledge. And so it's like a desert of the soul, if you will, and it's on that camel that you can cross. So wow. So this is the whole connection with the camel and the Kabbalah, and this whole big vibe here. Like it's powerful. Okay. So now let's go into the card images and sort of see what this is all about, because that was a little bit, connection with the Kabbalah. And we also see, we have 2 pillars here, right? There is kind of pillars here, like these, something's holding up this veil here. Even in this thought card, the pillars are there, right behind this sort of the veil, of everything. And we have 2 pillars here. Those 2 pillars, if I go back for 1 second, These are the pillars. Yeah. Okay. That's how they connect it. Okay. So let's come back to our high priestess and the moon. How the moon energies show up here in the high priestess. We do see a lot of moon imagery here. We see the phases of the moon. We see that little crescent moon, right? We see here also the high priestess in the Thoth deck. You can see these little crescent moons here. She's got that moon crown as well. And what she's doing here, my goodness, this is like she has this. It's like this all sacred geometry or something like that, and this is like she has this web of reality, and she's just kind of holding it up, or she's fashioning it in a certain way, creating like a little crescent here of the moon, is, if you will. And even this little bow that she has, it's actually like what is it, a harp, a stringed harp, but it's also a bow. So she's also connected with the hunter goddesses like Artemis, right? She's also linked to Isis, the pomegranates. I'm sorry, the date palms, and she's also linked to Persephone with with the pomegranates. And you have these two pillars, the entrance to the temple, and always you'll see there's always some sort of a veil, some sort of a thing that she is sitting there quietly with a book, accessing some secret knowledge, studying something, learning something. And behind her is a veil of sorts. You see this here as well, even in the Marseille Tarot High Priestess. She has this, the light blue, we know, is the color of spirituality. There's this veil here. And here she's literally holding the veil up. And there's a veil here as well behind the lady from the Telos Tarot. So what is that veil all about? She's hiding this secret knowledge. She's hiding. If you see, even in the Kabbalah, she's covering the whole big length between Keter and Tiferet. She has access to all the secret wisdom. She has access to all the secret knowledge. She has understanding, a deep instinctive understanding of it. And that is the moon energy, the instinctive understanding of stuff. The moon is sometimes like something, you understand something, you may struggle to express it, and you can look at your moon and Mercury placements for that, I suppose, right? But but instinctively you understand it, it makes sense to you. And that is the moon. That's like you deep down understand it completely. It's that secret knowledge, right? So you do see all this moon imagery. Now, in the Marseille Tarot, interestingly, the card is called La Papesse, and this is connected with her being the high priestess, or rather the female pope. Okay, we see that reference here as well with this little cross here. She's often connected with Pope Joan. Uh, the female pope that everybody denies, or at least the church denies she did not exist, but people claim she does. So, hey, truth, reality, she stands guard between that, right? But there is that understanding, the very instinctual understanding of the world. She even wears this triple crown of the Pope. Yes, here she is like that moon goddess, ethereal and holding up reality, such as it is. Here in the Telos Tarot, she literally sits here, like, everything flowing around her. We have the snowflakes. She's also connected with that, because of the Persephone connection with, with the pomegranates, and with Hades, and with winter and spring and summer and everything. So all these beautiful, beautiful connections, right? So if you look at the different meanings here, it's all about intuition, empathy, inner wisdom, connecting with the subconscious, even connections with faith and learning and belief, and secrets. There's a whole vibe of purity and virginity. This whole pure feminine wisdom mystery, right? I mean, emotions. That's the whole feminine mystique, if you will, that, everybody's like, who knows what goes on in a woman's mind? Like, there's a whole lot. If, personally as a woman, I will tell you, there's a whole lot that goes on in a woman's mind, and no, it's not what you think. But yeah, it's like, there's a lot of that uh, instinctive knowledge of things that other people see or perceive as mysterious. Women kind of just ought, kind of know, and that's powerful, right? So this is what the moon is all about, and you do see that vibe here in the priestess or high priestess card, and I think that's powerful. That's really powerful, isn't it? So, with that said, let's take a look at the sign, and the sign is of Taurus. Now we have looked at Taurus in the previous card, and so I'll just quickly go over it. Taurus associated with the bull is very steady, very stable. It's very, let's keep doing this patiently, steadily. It's an earth sign, right? It's also, it's the ruler of Venus as well, and there's a lot of connection with plants, flowers, material energies, sensual, artistic energies, and there's this, this whole vibe is of material security and sensual love, right? This is a very earthy, very, very sexy sign. Now, it can also be stubborn, it can be possessive, it can be self-indulgent, change resistant, and, all of these things. But this is about looking for spiritual and emotional answers in a materialistic world, right? And yes, cultivate, because the time that Taurus comes around is where, you start cultivating it. Now here's the thing, and I think I forgot talking about it, but it's great because it kind of makes sense to talk about it now. The bull that we see, there is a little myth that is associated with this bull. It's from Greek mythology, of course. So this is a bull called Ceres, Cerus, and the story goes that this was a bull that just kind of, was owned by no one and was trampling on the flowers that Persephone, our spring goddess, right, who was also associated with the high priestess god. So makes sense, though I forgot the last time to tell the story, so this time makes complete sense. I love how everything just works out. Anyway, so Persephone, who is the goddess of spring, she's like, what's going on? This bull is trampling on these beautiful flowers that, she's the goddess of spring, she's doing her job, and the bull he's going mad trampling those flowers. So everybody's afraid, but she goes to him, and she, her mere presence kind of like calms him down. And then she teaches that bull how to be patient, how to manage his strength. So every spring, when Persephone comes up from, the underworld to, get spring going, she rides that bull, and they do the things, spring things. And then in fall, when she goes back into Hades, they say Taurus returns to the night sky as a constellation. Isn't that the sweetest, sweetest story? I love that. So that's the story of Ceres or Taurus, okay, and Persephone, which is cute because High Priestess is Persephone as well. So I love this. And so let's take a look at the tarot cards connected with Taurus. That's our Hierophant. We've seen this guy before in the previous card, right? And this is you also in several decks. The Hierophant is called the High Priest. Here, Pape. How do you say it? I'm sorry, sometimes my French can go all over the place. It's been many, many, many years. The point is, this is the Pope, or the religious leader. That's what this card means. Essentially, though, right? if we are looking at how this Taurus energy translates into this card, we are looking at how a system has been formed, how an entire sort of framework has been created, where that you can follow, where you can pursue uh, you know your faith, your religion, your studies, your understanding of this world and its other divine aspects, right? So Taurus therefore is all about that, and in order to get somewhere in that journey, in that spiritual journey, in a very formal way, right, you need to follow this system. And that is what this card is all about. It's about creating those structures for society, because the very positive side of any kind of religion, and again, this is my personal belief, that uh, our cultures sort of create a base for a religion, and the religion then, well, adds that sprinkling of spiritual essence into it. But essentially, through religion, a bigger chunk of cultures can be sort of managed or controlled or herded in the right direction, if you will. And so you give them rules and of behavior, that okay, this is how you need to live your life, this is what you need to do, this is how you can behave, and so on and so forth. And sort of rituals and celebrations and festivals, they kind of bind us together in that whole journey. So, but that, but here's the thing, this system, right? Because the Hierophant does stand for organized religion too, and it can evoke positive and negative reactions from people depending on their personal experiences, right? So we are looking at a society, we are looking at moral beliefs, we are looking at institutions, we're looking at education, processes, bureaucracy. Everything with that vibe comes under the Taurus energy. Here of the Hierophant, right? So we are looking at all of these dogmas, doctrines, schools, churches, all that, all of this. So Taurus, in its very interesting, looking for. Remember what we said, looking for spiritual answers in the material world. I like that. I like how that shows up here. Now we are going to see how Taurus and Moon play with each other, right? When Moon comes in that sign of Taurus. Imagine, if you will, just like with your Venus and Aries, where we saw the Empress comes and living, comes and lives with the Emperor. Now this time you have the High Priestess coming and living with the High Priest. Because they are a pair too, I guess, if you look at it that way, right? So when we look at Moon in Taurus, this is the card from your Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Moon is about that emotional security that we talked about. Taurus is about material values. So we're looking for security and material values together. And this card is called exaltation, right? Uh, from an astrological thing, we are looking at Moon. Moon is considered to be exalted in Taurus. And in a second, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. This is going to be like the second segue in this particular video, but hey, whatever. We're learning, right? So it's always good. So let's take a quick look. When security and material values sort of come together, what do we see? We see that, feeling good, right? The Moon, the security part, the emotional security, feeling good. It comes from being emotionally secure, which comes from being materially secure, right? So that's how that connection gets formed. So when everything is great in the material world, you feel emotionally also secure, which essentially means you feel good. It plays with each other like that. So when this combination is there, we see that there is an importance of stability and nourishment, right? We are looking at something which is very much, home based, or which is about, food or property. There's a lot of intuitive hunches about money and business, because Taurus, material security, is lots of good business opportunities come. The moon in Taurus is also a space where you can nurture your beauty, your artistic expression, give it the necessary material resources you need to do your art, and just work with it. It's beautiful. It's a lovely vibe. But again, it can get self indulgent a little bit. You can have some excessive attachment to material comforts and beautiful things. I mean, I guess that is to be expected. So, I mean, anything in balance is good, right? Anything that exceeds that is, well, not good. But yeah, Moon in Taurus has that lovely, lovely vibe. So let's take a look at this exaltation business, because that is something interesting, because we've actually encountered already two such connections, interestingly. So let's take a quick segue and talk about planetary dignities, which in astrology is quite a thing. As we can see, dignified planets get strength, whereas debilitated planets, which is the opposite of it, are kind of in a discomfort. So if we think for a second that each zodiac sign is like, if you think that, okay, you have 12 zodiac signs, like 12 rooms in this house in a way, and each room has a different vibe or different energy to it. And as the planets go from room to room, right, as they go through each sign, some places they're happy, and some places they are not happy at all, right? Because the vibes don't match. It's the simplest explanation, really. But that's basically it, right? So here's a little chart, because we love charts here. So there's sort of two broader groups. These are the happy ones in green or shades of green, and the not so happy ones, the pink and red ones. Okay, so first layer we have domicile, right? And we see that these are the planets that rule each sign. So they're in their own house. Domicile means home, right? So when a ruler of the sign, which planet is in that sign that it rules, it's happy, it's comfortable, it's powerful, it rules that sign. So it's kind of like, this is my house, this is my room. What I say goes. Yeah. So the planet is the boss here. We've seen that. Mars and Aries, two of wands. They're very happy. Now the second layer here is exalted. Okay. These are the spots, or these the planets, when they are in these certain signs, they are strong and powerful. They are at the peak of their energy. They are very, very much like aware of their power in that space. Okay, so that's why they're exalted. They are like I read somewhere, they're like an honored guest, right? Or when they come to this space, they are like really, really like, oh yeah, I like it here. So these planets are exalted, and we've seen a similar one. We've seen the sun in Aries, which is three of wands, right? So sun was very happy in Aries there. It's like, yeah, baby, I'm here. Let's go, right? Which is fun. They're happy. And this is good. But then, of course, we have all the good stuff. But then let's look at the next layer, which is detriment. So detriment is the opposite of domicile. Okay. This is in the when a planet is in a sign that is opposite to that of its ruling sign. So let's take an example, if you will. So our standard example, we have Aries. Mars rules Aries. So in the sign that is bang opposite, which is Libra, here's Mars. He's in detriment, right? Aries is the ruler of, I'm sorry, Mars is the ruler of Aries, but when Mars goes completely over to the opposite side of the zodiac in Libra, he's in detriment. So that is the whole detriment logic. Opposite of domicile, you will see this in detriment, right? So, say for example, now Taurus is ruled by Venus, but Venus, when it goes in the opposite sign, which is Scorpio, it's in detriment. Got it? So that's what happens. And we've seen that as well. We have seen Venus in Aries. And this was eye-opening for me, because Venus is in detriment in Aries. And so I was thinking to myself, wait a second. Four of Wands. We have Venus in Aries, the Empress. She goes to the house of the Emperor there, and she does a bunch of things, but it's still the Emperor who rules, right, over her as well. She's in detriment. She's weak. She could be tad bit uncomfortable there. She doesn't have much power there. She does what she does, of course, but the Emperor is still the boss of her. Like, that's the vibe, yeah. So she goes to his house, not he doesn't come to her house. That's the difference, I suppose. Yeah. If we were to really kind of simplify it, yeah, in a way. So, uh, Venus in Aries. And then finally, we are looking at debilitated, which is again the opposite of exalted. So when we see these planets which are in their exaltation, when they go into the opposite side, they will be debilitated. So for example, Sun is exalted in Aries. In Libra, it is debilitated, right? So we see that Moon is exalted in Taurus, but in Scorpio, it is debilitated, and so on. So there's the chart. You can totally take a look at it. So the opposite of domicile is detriment. The opposite of exalted is debilitated or in fall, right? And here also, where they're at fall, they feel weak, insignificant, inferior, kind of, not very happy. Another vibe is that of being grounded or humbled. Okay, so that is something. Wow, look at this. Saturn in Aries is very much humbled, grounded. Is that something that's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. But I think this is a placement that's actually going to happen. We're going to see Saturn in Aries. But it's, like by itself, sure. But it's got a bunch of other planets too together. So there's going to be a lot of drama there. Nevertheless, you see, this is the vibe. So Taurus and our moon are in a good space, good spot, exalted. Got it? And yeah, we'll come back and see like the other placements, the other cards that we look at. If they have similar placements, we'll definitely see how that impacts it. Okay, as we go along on our Decan Walk, and we learn astrology through the lens of the tarot. I had to say that. All right. So, oh yeah, the number. Let's take a quick look at our number, which is 6, right? That also plays into it because 6 of Pentacles, the number 6 is all about harmony. It's about balance. It's about society, community, home, family ties. 6 is all about, bringing everything together, everyone together, and everybody sort of, having a nice vibe with each other. It's very affectionate. 6 loves to take on responsibility, be of service to others. 6 people are often involved in healthcare fields where they're taking care of people, or even if they don't directly do it, they'll indirectly be taking care of people in various ways. 6 longs to sort of create that stable home energy, right? 6 is also a number which is all about intellectual creativity, fantasy, imagination, abstract thinking, and theory. Now, this is a number that really wants everybody to get along. Okay, so with that vibe, let's take a look at our main star of the Decan, which is our 6 of Pentacles, right? Moon in Taurus. Now, traditionally, typically, those of us who started with the Rider-Waite, we look at this card. We see these two people who are poor beggars. Maybe these are the guys from the 5 of Pentacles. Like I often tell that, if we're looking at this as a story, the beggars now came here and they got help. And well, look at this guy, the way he's all dressed up. He looks like a merchant, yes? And so I call him the merchant. And he weighs this. He's got these pair of scales and he's giving them the money. Now, again, because this is, the pair of scales intrigued me for a very long time. And I was like, what is this connection? And again, I used to think that, okay, he's a merchant, he's a businessman, and yeah, sure, he's got a generous heart or whatever, and he wants to help people. But at the same time, he's going to measure out everything. He can't just like take all his money and give it to the poor people, because then again, well, what about him? Then he will be penniless too, right? So that's how I often looked at those pair of scales and thought, that's what he's doing. But then, uh, it's wild. See, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus also rules Libra, which is, the sign of the scales. So again, a long shot. I don't know if that is a connection here. Now, this is again a very interesting card in the sense that it talks about a balance between giving and taking because of the pair of scales, right? He's giving, they're receiving. And we do see that giving, receiving vibe, the nurturing vibe of the moon, the desire to nurture, the desire for creating material security and harmony, the need for it, the giving of it, the receiving of it, the very balanced way. Six being all about the harmony. So it all comes together here, right? And one of the things, right? I recently read the Decan Walk post by fellow Decan Walker Valerie. I'll put the link in the description. And her post again, very poetic. She's inspiring me to write again, which believe me is a lot. But the point is, if you go read her post, it's all about the quality or the intention involved in giving and taking, and the quality and intention of the giver and the taker. Like, what are the other, subtle undercurrents, the dynamics at play here? And that is again an important factor to look at. So that's powerful. And so when you see these pentacles, one would expect that if it's a card that's talking about balance, these pentacles would be arranged in that way, but they are not. And that is something to think about because, well, he has more power here in this situation because he is giving. So that's the pair of scales. He needs to be balanced in his approach, maybe, right? When we come to the Marseille Tarot, we are looking at a combination of the number energy plus the energy of the suit. We also see, so we are looking at these, like a basic 4 pentacles, 4 being stability, right? And then these 2 come in, creating the 6. But again, this is not upsetting that stability. The stability is not getting, shaken up. In fact, we're looking at protection from these leaves. There's nourishment coming in. There's all the spiritual vibes. There's this flower. So there's something flowering and growing. And so whatever it is, this stability is not affected. Things are still going to grow and they're going to be nourishing. There's going to be expansion. So we're looking at a harmony of resources. There's a possibility of expansion, smooth and challenge-free advancements in whatever your material projects are. Things will move. So the existing stability does not get shaken up because, when change happens, when growth happens, your existing stability tends to get shaken up. Not in this case, right? I like this. Let's come to the thought and see again. We're looking for growth, material growth, Taurus, right? And you're using your spiritual energy, your instinct, and your positivity. You're nourishing it. That's the moon. I see that. So when you come here now, now when we come here to the thought, what we see is a hexagon. And that hexagon, if you guys have the Thoth tarot deck, or I'll try to put the picture up here on the screen. The back of the Thoth tarot deck, the card has the Hermetic rosy cross on it, and this is the hexagon supposedly at the bottom of that. And what we see here, we have all our planets. We have the moon, we have Mercury, we have Venus, we have Mars, we have Jupiter and Saturn. And at the center is this sun, right? You see these are some sort of roses and these are like crosses at the back. So it's like all these beautiful, and then we see that reddish rosy glow. This is the sun right here. So we have like all the traditional astrology planets, uh, equidistant from each other in a hexagon, which is again a number of harmony, and they're all working together to create beautiful material gains, right? And this is some sort of, again, some sort of magical symbol, if you will. And so we have material gain, success, fruitful teamwork. So there's that six energy. And, the moon energy of nourishment, the moon energy of growth, right? Like the waxing and waning moons, the growth energy comes in, the nurturing comes in. So we are looking at all this balance that comes from the moon, mm, harmony that comes from the moon and the number six, and the very material, earthy success that comes from Taurus. Mm. And finally, again, we meet this card from the Telos Tarot. We have your, the Decan energy, the Hierophant, the camel, cow hooves, the planting, the celebration, the maypole, everything, all these beautiful things are happening. It's a time of procreation, fertile unions. So we do see this beautiful harmony of, things. We have celebrations, we have material gains, things are growing. We can see those little flowers here, tiny, tiny flowers. We see all these things happen. Everything is happening in a balance also, but then, we see abundance starting to come. And moon and Taurus together are generating, right? Moon is all about that nourishment, and Taurus is all about that very sensual, earthy energy, which is very disciplined, which is ready to work as long as it takes to make things happen. And Moon brings that beautiful nourishment to that earthy energy, and therefore success happens. Right? You will see, when this card comes in, you will see, you'll have like very comfortably manifested a successful outcome of whatever material things are, in going on in your life. That's the vibe. I like it. Ooh, right? So, oh yeah, we can't forget our supporting cast. We've seen these guys before, so I'm going to quickly run through them. The Ace of Pentacles, of course, coming in with the seed, with the very material energy. It is the root of the powers of the earth. This is the earth energy that we need. This is very much Taurus there, saying, hey, all the earth energies here for you, right? We also have the page with that ace saying, hey, I'm, again, very excited to make this happen. I'm diligently going to work for this, create this, make it happen, make it real, make it manifested, right? And the knight, of course, bringing that very action energy about, let me figure this out, let me think about it. I have these seeds and I'm going to plant these seeds and I'm going to take the action to make it happen. So yeah, we have all that beautiful, beautiful, the Pentacles energy coming in to help us here in this space. So yeah, that's your, let's, oh yeah, putting it together. This is the handout. But yeah, you can see the connections coming through. These are our Six of Pentacles. This is the moon energy of the High Priestess. This is the Taurus energy of the Hierophant. So now we have the sort of the inner esoteric vibe or power of the High Priestess. She goes, with the exoteric, if you will, space of the Hierophant. So, like, the Hierophant has created that system, that space. Now, see, where the Empress entered the Emperor's house, she was kind of debilitated from the astrological standpoint. Here, when the High Priestess goes and sort of enters your high priest's sort of temple, if you will, she's exalted because, this whole system, this whole structure, this whole process of learning, understanding, or whatnot, the keys that he holds, the door it opens is actually to her. And then you have to then pass her test. You have to she has to feel that yes, you're worthy. Otherwise, she will not open the door for you to cross through past that veil, that she's guarding. That's what I feel. I mean, in this space, she's exalted here because all that he has created is in service to her in that space, if you will. And so now, whatever the Hierophant has made, these systems, these processes, the keys, like the formal processes, the formal learning, the formal rules, what have you, like once that key allows you to open the door and get in that space is where she is, where the High Priestess is. And she has her rules, which are very different, very much listening to your deep inner wisdom. So here you are learning the forms, if you will, but she is going to tell you to discard that and just look at how those forms have manifested, or what space, what vibes they have created inside of you, right? And then, if you're good, if you're worthy, she will allow you to pass through the veil. I mean, that's how I see it. And and then this is therefore she's exalted. Therefore, that's for her. That it's the other way around now. Now she, like the Empress went and decorated the Emperor's house, but now the Hierophant has created the temple so that the High Priestess may be venerated, worshipped, sort of, or kept safe. But yes, because she needs to test you before you pass through those waves. And so this is the time where things start to manifest, because where your inner and outer worlds come together harmoniously, things in the material world will be successful. They will manifest. And so all these are the energies, these are the actions, these are the practical seeds start to flower, grow, and you see beautiful, successful results showing up. Wow. Okay. So that was the Six of Pentacles, guys. What do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and please don't forget to go to my blog post, because now when I take all of this and I start putting it in my blog post, or I'll come up with my journal prompts and what have you. And so if you want that kind of stuff, it's over there. So enjoy. And I will see you again in a few days with the Seven of Pentacles, which is Saturn in Taurus. Ooh, that's going to be something interesting. So stay tuned. And I will see you in my next video. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.